K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a lasting edition of On Deck here on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and put on the notification bell for all of the things going on the network. New shows. We'll have more coming up here as the year goes on. So be sure to check out Coast to Coast for more of that. Yeah, we got some good stuff coming up. Crispy Bacon, how are you? I know you're on top of the world right now, I bet.
Yeah, yesterday it doesn't seem like it's real. It is, but it doesn't seem like it. Everything's being planned, not for me, but everything's being planned out for, the parade tomorrow. It's just kind of crazy. It all happened.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, despite the fact it is a divisional champion winner who went all the way. But man, thinking about what the Rangers have gone through this pretty much this decade, when you think about it, you open up in 2020, the new building, and the World Series is there, but the Rangers aren't. It's everybody else basically in the divisional round, championship round, and World Series. So that's a little awkward. That year was.
Yeah.
You go into 2021, you lose 100 games. 2022, you trade Joe Gallo, I think, away, and you figure, man, they're going to be starting over. But then you end up having, was it 21? They traded Gallo away, and then the front office went and made some deals with Corey Seager, who we'll talk about later, Marcus Semien, all of the young guys coming up. They all shined this year, and they were all unsung. I mean, nobody really thought about them. And then you get Bruce Bochy. That really helped things out.
Retirement.
Yeah, and stupid me, I was thinking, man, I don't think he's going to come back. He's enjoying his wine out in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just shocked because now I heard today, of course, that the Padres could have had him back. He was the last one that took him to the World Series in '98, but the front office went with somebody else, and I think it ended up being Jace Tingler or the newer one. The one who just got, or Bob Melvin, actually. Yeah, Bob Melvin, but it was after, I should say. But it's funny how all that goes.
Yeah.
But let's get into the playoffs that was and the World Series. Let's go through what happened since this is the last show for the year. So it started off with a more than just not entertaining wild card rounds, best of three, of course. In the AL, Minnesota swept Toronto. Texas ended up sweeping the Rays. That was somewhat of a surprise, but the Rays were banged up, other stuff off the field. Arizona was able to sweep Milwaukee in 2 games, and then Philadelphia swept Miami. Now, going to the divisional round, Houston defeated Minnesota 3-1. I remember fans in Minnesota after beating Toronto saying, hey, we won Houston. Well, they got Houston and they couldn't handle it. The Rangers, that's right, defeated or swept the Orioles, who were not ready yet. They were a great story. First appearance from pretty much everyone in the postseason. But Texas was the victor in that. In the National League, the Diamondbacks surprisingly swept the Dodgers, but the Dodgers had so many injuries, among other things. But Arizona, they shocked, I think, a lot of people, and they kept going. Philadelphia, I think this was kind of a shocker, but the Braves, they were without a couple starting pitchers, and that really hurt. Bullpen was kind of shaky, and it showed against Philadelphia. They won that series 3-1. excuse me. Then you go to the championship series, an all Texas championship series for the first time. Houston and Texas. And of course, Texas won in 7 games, 4-3. That was just a tremendous series, just power versus power. And it ended up, being a situation where you feel like, hey, maybe Houston is missing a little bit. They need to retool, restock. Maybe they'll do that. But Texas goes on to the World Series. And then I think the most shocking upset of all, Arizona somehow defeats Philadelphia in 7 games. They had to go to Philadelphia and win both games. And I couldn't believe that happened. By the way, I think in that championship ALCS, I think all the road teams won, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah, because Houston swept the middle part in Arlington. So the World Series was set. Texas and Arizona, and Texas flex their muscles like all postseason long. They won the series 4-1 over Arizona. You could just tell after game 3, or especially maybe after game 4, you could just tell, okay, Texas has enough. They're going to do it. They've been powerful all year long, so they're really, really good. So they end up winning 4-1. The MVP goes to Corey Seager. He already has eclipsed or is tied with Reggie Jackson, Mr. October, with his numbers. And they both have 2 World Series MVPs. There's some people out there that just think, hey, Corey Seager should just be MVP of the AL. But I think a lot of people will pick Shohei Ohtani. But credit to Arizona. They had a wonderful season. I mean, nobody thought they would go into the wild card. Nobody thought they would have a chance. Maybe compete for one, but not get in. That's what I thought. And they were able to make it and go all the way to the World Series. I don't think anybody had that. So, Chris, let me ask you about the Rangers. What was your expectations this year starting off? And then as the season went on, did you feel a little confident about them, getting into the postseason? And then just how was this postseason run to the first championship ever for the Rangers?
Yeah, I was just kind of, thinking at first, throughout the season, first part of the season, all right, we're doing good. We're on the right path. I'm liking what we're doing so far. And I think it was the middle of the season, or maybe towards the All-Star break. It's like bullpen's not doing well. Things aren't going too well with the bullpen. Injuries are happening. One pitcher out of the after the next, and then we make it to the playoffs. And I was talking to my uncle, and he's like, "We're gonna win it this year." I'm like,
wow.
I don't know. And I mean, we did, but I'm just surprised. Yeah, I mean, they've made it to the World Series, but things haven't been going too well. So,
yeah. So this was the 3rd appearance for Texas, making it, and 3rd time's the charm, I guess. First 2 times, first 2 times, in 2010 they had no chance really against the Giants. As they won their first San Francisco World Series, and then 2011 was that disaster of the one strike needed in Game 6, and then they had to go to Game 7, and they ended up winning on October 28th. Did the Cardinals, and that was their last in 2011. So a vengeance after all those years of losing, from Washington, being the Senators in 1961, after the team moved, the first Washington Senators moved to Minnesota to become the Twins. There was a new Washington Senators in 61, and then they became the Rangers in 72, I want to say. And then lots of losing seasons, no wild cards back then. So 1986, I can remember watching film on this. Of course, I wasn't around, but they were kind of close with the California Angels. The Angels ended up winning the Western Division. That, of course, was a time where there wasn't as many divisions. There wasn't a wild card, so you had to win your division to get in. And it was just, the championship series. And it wasn't until, 96 with the Rangers that they were able to make the playoffs. They again made it, I think, in 98 and 99, and they kept losing to the Yankees. And then there were bad years. They went out and got A-Rod for all that money, ended up trading him to the Yankees for Soriano, and then traded him. Then they had some great years with all those other guys, Hank Blaylock, Michael Young, God, the list goes on. Kinsler and Adrian Beltre, Elvis Andrews, Nelson Cruz. They made all those playoff appearances. Josh Hamilton, of course, going back after being an Angel. An interesting history of the Texas Rangers, and they finally get it done. Just an amazing performance again by Corey Seager. Marcus Semien with his power. Those two are the literal Power Rangers there with Garcia. And I know one guy was kind of worried that without Adolis Garcia that they would lose the series. But you're up 2-1, or you're up 3-1, and you're up in the series. Whenever you're up in the series, you have a shot. And I kept telling this idiot where I was like, hey, you know who it is, yeah. So I kept telling him, I said, man, hey, you're up in this series. As long as you get great pitching from Jordan Montgomery, Nathan Eovaldi, who closed the door. And you think of Jose Leclerc. This dude came out of nowhere to become the closer. And he even came in the eighth inning sometimes to get some outs that were very important in the Astros series and in the Rangers series. I mean, in the Diamondback World Series, of course. So he was awesome in that. He was just coming out of nowhere because you had Chapman, you had Will Smith, some guys you could not rely on. Sporgs, I remember he had his troubles during the regular season, and he got the final out somehow. It's just amazing. Some guys will just take that pressure and perform well. And it seems like the Rangers with Bruce Bochy believing in everyone. And then you go to the GM, Chris Young, putting the pieces together, telling the Rangers owner, if you want to spend money. Yeah. And I remember him, with the Padres. He was a really good starting pitcher. He's very smart. I think he went to Harvard or Yale. I can't remember what Ivy League school. But you could tell that he was book smart, player smart, and he was going to do something. And luckily enough, he took his expertise to the Rangers, and that was really great to see. So for my team, total opposite, right? The Angels in Anaheim. This year ended up being back in fourth place as customary. Just not even, competitive after probably after the last game, almost the last games I went to in July. There was just never really any shot for them to get back into the playoffs. I'm going to bring up the standings now for the Angels, and really not well. But let's go to Texas real quick. So they lost the division just by the head-to-head matchup because Houston won, I think, 13 or what was it? 9-5 or 9-4, I think was 9-4 record. It went to Houston, but they had the same record as Houston. But the season series went to Houston. That's why they won the division. But guess what? Texas gets the better trophy. Seattle third place in the AL West, 88-74. And then this is where the disasters happen. The Angels at 73 and 89. The Oakland A's at 50 and 112. I think we can all say at least we're not the Oakland A's. But really with the Angels, with my team, they were 17 games out. And I think, 15 games out of the wild card. They had really 16 games out of the wild card. It felt like 30. But man, it just seems to be a thing where you have Shohei Ohtani and he's great and all. That's pretty much it. And then he got shut down in August after a doubleheader. He couldn't pitch anymore. His elbow was hurting where he needed surgery. He still was able to hit so many home runs and get almost 10 wins. Mike Trout got hurt again. He tried to come back, but he couldn't do it. There were some rookie surprises with Zach Neto at short, Logan O'Hoppe, who came back from injury, but nothing that tells you, hey, we're going to win this year. Just bad free agent signings. Tyler Anderson, the starter. Patrick Sandoval was really bad as a starter. It was the total opposite. Again, like I told you, Chris, the Angels should be where the Rangers are, where they make the right moves, they trade for the right pitchers and players, they sign the right players, and the Angels did the opposite basically the last couple of years. It's that bad. So yeah, this offseason, as we get into the offseason, I'll quickly go to the Angels. So the whole thing is Shohei Ohtani. He might most likely will not be back with the Angels. He might go to the Giants, the Dodgers, the Mariners, somebody West Coast, but not the A's or the. I don't know if they'll go to the Angels. But where do you think quickly Shohei will go, Chris?
I think he'll stay in LA, but there's talks now that he's eyeing the Rangers. I don't believe that, but there's talks of that.
Wow, I didn't hear that. I know Boston people want him. And I remember there was a series in Queens playing the New York Mets, and everybody loved him. It was Met fans, too. Usually Met fans are horrible, like Yankee fans and Dodger fans. But man, he couldn't do any wrong. It was standing ovations all night, those 3 games, or those 2 nights, one day game. Really, yeah, it's a wait and see with Shohei. I just don't see it. And then Mike Trout, if he's nice, he's too nice. But if he really wants to, he can ask for a trade, and he can pretty much pinpoint where he wants to go. I know a lot of people want him to go to Philadelphia or the Yankees, depending on what Juan Soto wants to do in San Diego. But the Angels, hopefully will get younger from this. And I was thinking about this morning where, hey, are they going to spend money that they would use for Shohei if he leaves? Would they use that money to get players, or just lie to me and not use any money at all and don't really sign anyone? It's really a bad time. And I really want the owner to sell, but he won't. It's just total opposite of Texas. As we lead into, Chris, what do you see if there's anyone out? I know Jordan Montgomery is a free agent. I don't remember whom else, but maybe you'll know. Is there any moves the Rangers will make maybe to try to go for a repeat, or are they pretty still where they are when it comes to their roster? Are they going to maybe go after some bullpen pieces? What do you think the offseason holds for the Texas Rangers?
I would definitely, maybe think that they're going to find some bullpen pieces. It was kind of rocky the second half of the season. I'm not sure if you need anybody else. It just depends on maybe how Garcia's health is doing by then. I know there's some hip tightness or something like that, but I don't know how that injury lasts and all that. But for right now, I don't see any other pieces.
And then I was thinking of maybe going through some news stories. So the Angels, of course, looking for a manager. The Padres, they'll probably keep it both in-house. The Giants are also, I think, no. They got Bob Melvin, of course, from the Padres. So the Mets need one, and Craig Counsell might be the guy for them. Remember, he was last year with Milwaukee last season. Max Muncy signed an extension to stay with the Dodgers. Their third baseman, Jorge Soler, the World Series hero for the Royals. Or I'm sorry, for the Braves in 2021, will be a free agent. So that's interesting there. The Diamondbacks, they're looking for even more firepower. Tommy Pham is a free agent. So there's outfielders out there for DHs that you can find. Those are two guys there. The Red Sox have a new CBO, Chief Baseball Officer, Craig Breslow, former reliever. There is talk maybe about Pete Alonso maybe either being traded out of the Mets or not. That'll be interesting to see there. But everybody trying to, chase the Rangers there. First time, 52 years as the Texas Rangers. So it's a big win there. You have anything else on the season? I guess maybe some team surprises, like the Orioles and how well they did. If you look at the standings, was there some teams that really shocked you this year, either doing good or doing bad?
No, but I'm looking through our free agent list, and Will Smith is going to be on the market, and the last 3 years have been really good to him.
Yeah.
Every time he signs with the team, they go to World Series. So if he is dealt and he goes to a team,
I thought I read that.
Could he be in the running for another World Series? I don't know, but
wow.
2021 it was the Braves, 2022 is the Astros, and this year is the Texas Rangers.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't know. I mean, Tampa Bay had that little run in the beginning. They won 13 games. Rangers were Road Warriors, winning 11 games.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention in the postseason. Yeah.
So, and they won 40 in the regular season. So I guess on top of that, you won 50. That's a lot of road games. But no, it's been a good season for a lot of these teams, and it's sad that only one has to come out on top.
Yeah, Baltimore Orioles, 101-61 this year. They win the East over those Rays. I think that's one of the biggest surprises, just because, hey, maybe they weren't ready yet, but they did it. Texas, even, I thought maybe they'll compete for a wild card, but just like the Diamondbacks, and both did that. Both went all the way. Seattle taking a step back. You have Toronto barely getting in, but it felt like they were missing everything. That AL Central was really bad, other from the Twins, and they just outlasted everybody else. The Braves being maybe one of the most disappointing teams in the postseason because they win all those games in the regular season. Philly and Miami do get in as a wild card, but Philly beats Atlanta. So that's amazing to see. The fact that Cincinnati and the Cubs were in the running, I think that was two miracle spots. Both have a lot of young talent there. The Dodgers winning the NL West again, 162, when everybody thought this was going to be a down year. And then the Padres, they went 82-80, but they were just really, really bad. They were never consistent, with all that talent. And now, I don't know if you heard, Chris, but now the news came out about them taking a $50 million loan to pay some expenses they had. And I believe that news wasn't supposed to come out, but it did. But you got any, thoughts about that? And if you ever heard about that before?
Which team was it?
The San Diego Padres.
No, I never heard that. I didn't hear that story. I never heard any team do that, really. It's
I mean, you hear about it maybe in the minor leagues.
On those other sports where there's no
When you think about it, they have all those shortstops. You have the record attendance for a season at Petco Park. You have, all those contracts. You lose the TV deal on the cable network. So, yeah, I think that had to happen, I guess. But they said it's typical, but the news never comes out. But somehow it did with the Padres, and everybody jumped on it a couple of days ago. So they were one of the most disappointing teams. Yeah, St. Louis Cardinals were in last place. That hasn't happened since, I think, 1973 or 1995. That was odd to see them because they're always in the postseason or in the running. The New York Mets, 75 and 87, they were in fourth place. And they ended up being, sellers at the deadline. They said either the Padres or the Mets were the biggest disappointments, and it felt like that. So, and then also this season, was the first year of the pitch clock, of the new rules, the bigger bases, how the pitcher had to, acknowledge the hitter and lock eyes, and then you could start the wind up and all that. And there were shorter games by at least a half an hour. So I guess that was really good to see. It didn't really affect the postseason, luckily, that I was worried about. Was there another? I can't remember. There had to be another rule to me this season where it's a pitch clock.
There's bigger bases, no shift.
Oh yeah, that's it. Duh. Yeah, no shift. Duh. That was the other one I was thinking of, where
you can have two disengagements.
Oh yeah,
After that, it'll be like a walk.
That's right. On the third attempt, if you don't pick him off, he gets the stolen base, and we didn't really see that this year. A lot of teams should have been more aggressive with that rule. So those four changes I really liked.
Rangers. I think the Rangers had that happen once in the World Series. I could be wrong, but I thought it happened.
Yeah, I got to check that out. But maybe they'll come out with all the numbers and everything. What do you think about all these rule changes? How it affected the game.
I didn't really see a difference besides maybe the pitch clock, but I didn't see any differences. No.
And it didn't ruin your enjoyment of the game either, I'm guessing.
No, it didn't.
That's good, because I was so worried about
what
that.
What about for you?
No. Again, I was so worried about it happening in the postseason. Like, the last out of the season would come down to a pitch clock violation. Imagine that. I was so worried about that, But I knew at the beginning, and I saw this in spring training, where the veterans did not have handle of it yet. Those minor leaguers that have it, down in AAA, AA, single A, rookie ball, they had it, right? So they were used to it. But the veterans didn't, grasp it at first. But I think they finally got around to it. It wasn't so bad after a couple of months. I always think of Manny Machado that had, 3 run-ins with strike 3 called on a batter's violation for the pitch clock. So I think eventually he got around it, or he knew the time and all that. But I was so worried about it just rearing its ugly head. But I liked also that they kept the runner at second, starting the extra innings, just for the regular season, I guess. They didn't have it in the postseason. So I didn't mind that. We saw, what game was had extra innings in the championship series, I believe. One of those games had it, and it went, I think it was a Ranger game that had it. And
the World Series did.
What game was that? I forget.
Yeah. It was a World Series game. I think it was
game 1.
It was World Series.
That's what I thought.
Game 1 or Game 2, I can't remember.
Well, I remember Game 2 was 9-1. No, I think it was Game 1. Yeah, because Garcia hit the
Game 1.
Garcia hit the walk off, and Seager tied it.
Well, first it was Seager.
Right, in the bottom of the ninth.
Seager started it out. Yeah.
I mean, that was huge. Going back to that series, if that doesn't happen, and then the next night Arizona wins 9-1, they go up 2-0 going home. So we would still be talking about a series. But the heroics of Seager, Garcia, the defensive Carter, Josh Jung, and Carter being rookies and performing very well and smart beyond their young minds. They had that segment with Alex Rodriguez talking about defense, and they broke it down so well. And then how Evan Carter, being only 21, already has great plate vision. He knows
pulled up from the minors.
Yeah, he knows the zone very well. So it's really great to see that. Something you don't see, especially not for my team. We don't have many guys that grasp the approach of, hey, be patient. We just have a bunch of free swingers. So that's one of those games. It happened on Friday of my birthday, Game 1. So I always remember that game. I think we talked about it the next day, of course. But yeah, the Rangers win the World Series. They're the champions. You have any final thoughts on the 2023 season that was?
Man, it was kind of unexpected, at least from a Rangers perspective, but that's why you play, 182 games and 13, 14 games of the playoffs, depending on how far it goes, and anything can happen.
Yeah, it definitely was. For me, hey, I enjoyed, I think, the games being a little, being faster. After a while, I didn't mind it. But when you go to a game, you have to realize, well, damn, I got to either eat before the game and drink during the game, or I'm going to be stuck in line and miss a couple of innings. That was the big thing. But, you can order stuff at your seat now. There's little things you could do to not miss a lot of games or a lot of action at games. So, next year I'll be looking forward to going to some games and seeing how everybody adapts to the new time rules and new rules at all. I had fun this postseason, watching prizes. I had the time of my life, and now that it's over, I can go back in time and watch stuff. But I really anticipated, all the postseason games this year. So that was really, really that was really nice to see. I really enjoyed that. So, Chris, this is the end of On Deck for this year.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have what do you call it? We'll have a off-season special, but signings would have to be made. We'll see what happens. Yeah. I just got word in Mexico City, the Angels and Rockies will be playing down there next season for a series. Last year was Padres Giants. So, yikes. For the MLB World Tour, remember they had, what was it, Cubs and Cardinals go to London, I think it was. Somewhere in Europe.
I thought they did the Iowa. I thought Cubs Cardinals was the Iowa game.
Now they're having a game,
Field of Dreams.
Yeah, next season they will have a series, I think, with the Giants and Reds. I want to say Giants and somebody.
I thought it was Cardinals.
Maybe it was Giants Cardinals down in Mississippi somewhere, celebrating those old leagues or whatever. So we'll see. It might be fake news, this story. My Angel fan group is telling me about this, where there might be a Mexico City series, and we'll find out during the off season and all that. But Chris, this has been one of these seasons.
When do the awards come out?
I think it's sometime this month. We'll find out. The Cy Young, the Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, a lot of great candidates. Maybe we'll do a show for that. We'll do a show for all of that, and then we'll take a break as well, and then we'll find out when that is. We'll take a break, and then we'll get to the off-season moves probably in December as the winter meetings heat up. The hot stove, that's always a fun time. If your team is, having the cap space or whatever, the money to make moves and trades, it's always a fun time. It won't be for me this year, I can tell you that. We'll see what happens. So, as quick as this is, this time slot will now be for the entertainment hour at C2C. C2C Entertainment Network, and we will bring back Entertainment Hour. The last show I want to say was in 2021 or 2, Chris? I cannot remember.
Yeah,
when that was,
2021. Sometime in
that's what it seems like. So I'm gonna get my ideas going, and we'll be happy to have Chris and whomever else on, along with Randy Cox, the Dragon Viper. We'll have him on here. We'll give you the new releases of movies, television shows, and Netflix and other series, documentaries. We'll go through all of that. Video games. We'll also have top 5, top 10 lists of genres of movies, and we'll rank everything up. Shout out Rank 'em, by the way. That's always been a good show on this network. And then we'll get into maybe some music, and we'll have a lot of debates about songs and remakes and all this. So tune in at this time, or anytime, of course, on YouTube and Facebook, Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Entertainment Hour. We'll be back next week, and we will start that up. On Deck, of course, will now be off, and we might maybe bring that back again when the awards are coming out, and then when Hot Stove comes back, and then right when spring training is going, maybe right in the middle, we'll start up On Deck again here at Coast to Coast Network. Chris, let me have your thoughts maybe on the Entertainment Hour, and what you want to bring, and what ideas you have about the show, and how do you think it'll go.
I think it'll go good. I mean, it's kind of rocky right now with the strike still going on, but I mean, there's tons of movies we can go over, TV shows. We can do lists of actors, actresses, genres, movies with certain actors. The list can go on. In different topics. So, and then you add, like you said, the video games. You can do different topics on that. So it's going to be a fun time, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me of 2020 when live sports was halted because of the pandemic. A lot of shows had to go, with all-time lists, with debates and rankings and all that. So with the writer's strike and the actor strike, there's not as much new movies and television shows coming out. No television shows, by the way, unless it's like, crime shows or, stuff that happened in real life. And
TV
and reality TV is kind of there still. Not as much, I guess. But there's always something to rank. There's always something to watch from the past, and I have to do my homework because I'm not a guy. I'll watch documentaries, but it has to be something I'm really interested in. But now I've got to step my game up because I got to watch movies that everybody else has seen and that I haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. I got to go through everything. And I know, I'm pretty sure you're into, movies and genres, and of course Dragon Viper is as well. We'll have probably Chrissy Wilson, we'll have Ace come in, Big B come in, whomever else come in and give their rankings and how it compares to others. But Entertainment Hour will start next weekend. This has been On Deck for 2023 for the MLB season. It's been fun. I joined late, but right in time at the end here. Chris, your final thoughts, and we'll get out of here.
No, it was a good baseball season. Hopefully next year will be really good too. I know it's hard to get back to the championship of any sport, but hopefully there's back-to-back, and I know every team that wins it wants that. And I'm not going to be too worried next year. We the Rangers won it this year, and if it happens next year, great. And if it doesn't, we'll after that. So just have a fun off season, lead up to it, and we'll be back next season.
Definitely, for sure. I'll be happy to come back and help out however I can. All right, so this has been On Deck. Congrats again to the Texas Rangers, your Texas Rangers, for winning the 2023 World Series in 5 games over the Arizona Diamondbacks, the first World Series championship for those Rangers. Take care, folks, and thank you for watching On Deck all year long here on Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Be sure to follow, subscribe, listen, watch, and put the notification bells or the checks on so you can join us and comment however you can on YouTube and Facebook and then Instagram and Twitter, everywhere else, X. All right, folks, take care, and thank you very much for watching all year long. We'll see you next season.